Hello, could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Okay, my name is Omar. I'm 17 years old and I'm from Syria, Damascus.
That's good. Could you please tell me a little bit about your background? How did you learn English and about the education system in the past that you experienced?
Okay, so firstly, I originate from Syria. My family is, let's say, quite diverse because my dad is originally from Aleppo. Family is originally from Aleppo. My mom is from another state. However, all of our family, we lived in Damascus. Okay. Um, how I learned English. So I lived apart after the war in Syria. I lived in Saudi Arabia for a period of time. My uncle who lives there, his wife is Scottish. Okay. And I'm very close to my uncle. So this was a very major part in me learning English, as I needed to communicate with his wife, as I'm very commonly there with him. So I learned English at a very young age, and also I had interest in the English language when I was a kid. So that really helped me in developing my language. So yeah, that's how I learned.
That was really interesting that a family member encouraged you to improve your English. And you talked about the Scottish member in your
Yeah.
just family, but I know that they have a very strong accent. How come you didn't just put on that accent, or you didn't just grab that accent?
Well, actually, my uncle's wife, he knows how to speak Scottish, but when I was a kid, she tried not speaking very deep Scottish, so I can understand her. Because as you said, Scottish is a very deep accent. But growing up, I caught up a bit of words on how to speak Scottish, but I still don't really know how to get it totally right. It's a very interesting, actually. It's a very interesting accent.
Oh, that's good. And let's now, I want you to share your experience of schools in Syria. Because I think you also studied in Syria, and after that you moved to Saudi Arabia. Can you just give us some background information about Syria, the education system, the period that you used to just study over there?
Okay, so if it's possible, I'm gonna talk about the three different education systems I faced, which was Syrian and in Saudi Arabia, and now currently I live in Turkey. So let me start with Syria. So in Syria, our education system is it's quite built up. It's very old because education was a very big part in Arabic countries and Middle Eastern countries specifically. So our education system is very good in terms of curriculum. It's very rich and full of knowledge. However, sadly, in governmental schools, the teachers are not very helpful due to specific reasons, which I cannot mention right now. Teachers, like for example, the class, a teacher comes in, the teacher does not want to teach you. He's just doing a job in his perspective, and he just says the lesson, doesn't really accept any questions, and goes off. And also, there's a lot of students in one class, like in governmental schools in Syria. You have 60 students in each class. However, the class can only fit 30. Okay, so yeah, it's very bad. But in terms of curriculum, if teachers and other parts of the system were adjusted properly, our curriculum is very good actually, and I think it very rich and knowledgeable, and if it is brought to other parts of the other countries, it would be very helpful. Now moving on to Saudi Arabia, I also studied there in a governmental school. There it was a bit better. The teachers were a bit better. The curriculum, however, surprisingly was badder or worse than curriculums in Syria. And But overall, it was a good school. Still governmental, yes. Uh, but it was generally and overall good. Um, the teachers were a bit passionate about teaching students. They could communicate with the students well. So yeah, all in all, it was good. A bit better in parts, worse in parts. It differs. Now moving on to Turkey. In Turkey,
Sorry to interrupt you. Before just moving to Turkey, when you compared Syria with Saudi Arabia, do you just said a bit better, a bit different? Why? Could you just clarify a bit more? Why if it was not a huge difference between these two countries?
definitely. So I'm gonna talk in parts. In terms of curriculum, Syria is better because the knowledge or information mentioned in the curriculum is actually helpful. And when you look at the difference or the development of curriculum from, for example, grade 5 to grade 6, you can see they are trying to develop the mind of the student. However, in Saudi, it was very repetitive and there's not a lot of development in the curriculum. So that was very bad in my opinion. Moving on to teachers, Saudi was a bit better because they were able to communicate with the students a bit better. They had a bit of passion about teaching these students, so I think it was better. In terms of, like, for example, campuses and how, like, for example, environmental situations in the class and all of this, I think there's not any difference between both of them. There's governmental schools in most countries, especially third world countries, are quite bad. But in my opinion, that's just an addition. Governmental schools can give a student a bit of character because these experiences build up your character as you grow up.
Yeah.
I know some people may say it's a bad experience, yes, but these things make you learn out of, like, bad experiences make you learn. Nowadays, I don't really think people should go through it, but for us, we were forced to do it. But we try to take as much advantage out of these situations.
That's good. Good. Thank you for clarification.
Okay.
Now,
Back on to Turkey. So in Turkey, it was my first time entering private school and entering an international school. It was very different. I took time to go up actually. Apart from relocating myself and my family, it was also going up with the educational systems, the language, a lot of different things. It was a major difference because it was a lot better. In terms of curriculum, you might be surprised, but I think still Syria, I know it's in Arabic, so there's a difference here, but I still think it's much more informative. However, there's a very major difference in terms of teachers and campuses. They are much better. Teachers here, for example, in international schools, they teach you very passionately. They know how to communicate with students. They try to keep the classes as fun as possible to keep the attention of the student. They accept questions, they accept inquiries if you have any problems understanding. All of these things. The campuses are very clean, very organized. So yeah, that was a very major development for me. I took time to go up, yes, but it was good. Alhamdulillah, it was good. And also now I remember something as I was talking about Turkey. In Saudi, they had something very bad that wasn't in Syria and wasn't in Turkey. Before 2018, it was okay for teachers to hit students.
pardon me?
Yes,
Really?
I'm
sorry.
that's why I tell you it built a lot of character because
I'm sorry for that.
it's bad. Yes, this is a thing I do not at all give advice to people to experience. But after 2018, they realized that it was a very big problem,
Yep.
and they banned it. Anyone who goes through experience like this, he talks with the ministry, and they will fire the teacher immediately.
Yep.
And his license as a teacher will get stopped for 2 years. So they took very harsh steps through this. But the thing is, I moved to Turkey in 2018, so I did not get to experience that.
Yep.
But generally, I was a good student, so I did not really get ahead that much. It was like maybe 4 times in my whole lifetime. It's okay. It's an experience at the end of the day. Yeah, back to Turkey. So I think it's very good. The only thing I would say is that Syria's curriculum is a bit better, but generally, if you kind of compare, Turkey has more advantages. Yeah.
All right, that's good. Thank you for sharing. And yes, while you were talking about the hitting part, you reminded me my childhood. Because when I was a student, probably 2-3 decades ago, and we had also very similar just attitude.
Yes, sadly, in Middle Eastern and third world countries, this was very popular.
Yep.
And also at the time of our parents. So it's sad. It has some advantages maybe, but nowadays you have a lot of solutions, so why go through that?
Yeah, right, I agree. And how many years have you been in Turkey?
I've been here for 4 years. This is my 4th year. So
All right, that's good. And could you tell us about the first year, the challenges that you had in Turkey, how you overcame those challenges, and how you could just cope with the issues that you had in Turkey?
yes, definitely. So when I came here, as I said, the first time I came here was in 2018. We came here, me and my family, to see if there are good opportunities for us to move here permanently. After that, we moved in 2019 permanently here. First of all, I moved, me and my brother and sister. The only 3 of us moved here. My dad and mom stayed in Saudi because there were a couple of things to finish. So this by itself was a very big move, because yes, I am the youngest one, but all of us, it's a new system, it's a new country. It was like all of it was new, so we had to co-op with everything 2 or 3 months by ourselves. And when I came, the second day after I came, I had to go to school because my visa was delayed. So I went to school. At that time, I was kind of young, or not young, kid. I was a kid, yes. So it was very different. I felt upset. I felt weird. But I tried to make as much relationships with people as possible. But still, it was very different. I'm not used to this. As I said, I'm used to governmental school. So it was very different. Day by day, at first I didn't want to go to school because of this. But then day by day, I tried to make relationship with the teacher. The teachers here were very cooperative with me. They tried to understand my situation. They tried to take me in calmly and all of that. And I thank these teachers. Now I don't know where they are, but I really appreciate what they did for me, because it was a hard time. And in my first year, I still remember this. I faced an earthquake while I was in school. Yes, the earthquake that happened in 2019. At the time, I was still in school. It was maybe the 6th lesson, and we experienced the earthquake. However, the school that I'm studying in, they took very good action in that, and everyone was safe. Alhamdulillah. So yeah, there was a lot of events and things in the first year. For me, anyone who faces a situation like this, my best tips is to just go with the flow, first of all, because you trying to make plans is not a very good idea because everything is new. You don't know what's gonna come up your face in the next day or 2 days. So just go with the flow. Try to just go up as much as possible and ignore negative things that may happen. Because yes, negative things may happen at first, but there are a lot of positive things that you have not experienced yet. It may happen, but yeah, just go with the flow. I think this is the most important thing.